Welcome everybody, this is Apocalypse Doc here, Doctor in the Apocalypse, and we are back with another Unreal Engine 5.0 tutorial. Today we are going to create a starvation and hydration damage system. If you look in the top left, the food and water is going down, and as soon as it reaches 0, the player is going to lose health. And you can see the red damage flash going off because we're losing health. Now that we're dehydrated, we're losing 1 health at a time, and as soon as we start starving, it's going to double. So the damage is going to compound, and we're going to start losing 2 health at a time. So this mimics the negative effects of being both starving and dehydrated. Let's get started. So first I'd like to show you some organization I did off camera. If you go to the Do Not Edit section, I've divided that up into food, references, water, and health. Under food, I have current food, max food, our degen food timer, and our is starving variable. Likewise for water, same thing. And for health, current health, max health, and is dead variable, and our references. And these are all things that we do not want to edit. I have not changed anything for the customizable stats. In order to take damage when the player is starving and or dehydrated, we are going to make use of timers. First, we're going to want to create an enum for timer type. Right click, go to blueprints, select enumeration, _timer type. Go ahead and open that up. Add 3 entries for health degen, food degen, and water degen. Go ahead and save that, and you can close that window. Next, we're going to want to create 2 new variables. So let's go back to our stats component. The first one is going to be called health degen amount. Make that a float. This is going to represent the amount of health that is lost over time at the various player states. The second variable we need is called health degen time interval. Compile and save. Let's go ahead and for the health degen amount, let's make that 1. For the time interval, let's make that 1 as well, just for now. Compile and save. And these we want to be editable. So let's select health degen amount, and let's place that in the stats customizable health. Same thing for the health degen timer interval. Compile and save. Next, we're going to want to create a function called timer function _ degen health. And we're going to put that in the timer functions category. First, you're going to want to drag 2 variables out, and that is going to be the is dehydrated, so hold control and drag that out, and then is starving. Hold control, drag that out. Let's go ahead and get a branch, hold B and left click. And we're going to want to call the decrease health function when the player is starving or dehydrated or both. So let's drag 3 copies of that function. So if the player is starving, and let's say not dehydrated, you want to not Boolean here. If that's true, we're going to want to decrease the player's health, and that health is going to be found right here in the new variables we created. Health degen amount. Plug that in. Compile and save. And it's the same thing if the player is not starving, however is dehydrating. So we can go ahead and copy this, copy and paste. Let's create another branch. And then you can hold Alt and release those pins by clicking. So let's say the player is not starving, however is dehydrated. Drag that to the branch, and we're going to want to do the same thing here. So actually, we can just plug this in here. Perfect. compile, and save. But what if the player is both starving and dehydrated? Let's copy that logic, put that here. Let's get another branch. Plug that in. Well, we're going to want to multiply our health degen amount by a certain amount. And I'm just going to randomly do 2. You can choose whatever you want. And you can even have this multiplier change over time or change with various conditions. It's all up to you. Whatever works for your game. Compile and save. And that's all we need to do for this timer function. So close that. Now we're going to create another function to toggle the various timers that we created in this enum, the timer type. So create a new function and call it toggle function timer. And I'm going to move that into the timer functions. And we're going to need 2 inputs. The first one is going to be the timer type, and that's based on our enum. So e_timer type. Select that. And the second is going to be a Boolean called toggle on ? Now we need a branch, so hold B and left click. And we're going to switch on this timer type. So drag this pin out, type switch. Let's connect that up. And then we're going to want to do that again. So let's copy and paste. Connect the timer type pin. Now we're going to need to initialize our actual health degen timer. So let's go to do not edit, go to health, and it's just like this timer degen water, but we need a timer degen health. So let's just duplicate that timer degen water and rename it timer degen health. And let's move it to the do not edit health section. Compile and save. Now we need to initialize that. So let's go up here to our functions, init timer handles, open that up, and we're gonna right click and type set timer function by name. Select that. Let's go ahead and connect the execution pin. Zoom in a little. And the function name is this, timer function degen health. So I'm just gonna copy that and paste. And then we want it to loop, and the health degeneration is going to go down by our health degen time interval. So hold control, drag that out, connect that. And remember, we have it set to 1 for now, but you can go ahead and change that to whatever you like. Now to set up the timer, we're going to drag a setter out. So hold Alt, drag our timer degen health. Compile and save. So that's going to automatically start degenerating the player's health on begin play. We don't want to do that. We don't want to kill our player. So we need to actually pause this right away. And that's where toggle function timer is going to come into play. So let's go ahead and drag this out here. And we're going to want it off. So leave that unchecked. Compile and save. And we can close our init timer handles. Now let's do the logic here. For health, we're going to drag out the health degen timer. Hold control and drag out a getter. We're going to do that twice. All right. And if this box is checked, that means we want to toggle it on. Okay. So we want to drag this pin out. Oops, I accidentally grabbed the water one. Let's get the health one. Copy, paste. All right. So if our health degen timer is paused, so type is paused, we are going to want to unpause it. So hold B, left click, copy that, paste that here, and then type unpause. So if we select our health timer and we want to toggle it on, it's going to unpause it. If it's not paused, it's not going to do anything. So let's say we want to toggle it off. Okay, so if this toggle on is unchecked, we want to type is active. Let's get a branch, hold B, left click, connect this up. And if it's active, we want to pause it. Copy, paste, and type pause. Compile and save. Now we're going to want to do this for the food degen and the water degen. Compile, save. So now we can close this toggle function timers. Let's open our decrease food function and our decrease water function. So when we decrease the food, it's 0 and the player is starving. First, we are going to want to stop our degen food timer from running. So let's go ahead and grab our new function, toggle function timer. And let's select our food degen and let's leave that open. So we're turning it off. Food is 0. We don't need to keep decreasing it. And now that we're starving, we are going to want to drag this out again, and we're going to want to toggle on our health degen timer. Compile and save. We're going to do the exact same thing on the decrease water function. So let's copy this, go here, paste, hook up the execution pins, select water degen, compile and save. And that's all you need to do here. You can close these two functions. So let's go ahead and see our work in action. All right, so as you can see, our water is going down a lot faster than the food. It's not very smooth right now, but you can always make the amount tinier and the time interval tinier in order to make that a lot smoother. Let's see what happens when we become dehydrated. All right. Uh-oh, we are totally taking damage because we're dehydrated. Now let's see what happens to our damage when we start starving, because right now we're only losing 1 point of health. I expect we're going to lose 2 points of health as soon as we're starving. And yes, this red damage flash is quite obnoxious. There we go. We're losing 2 health at a time because we're both dehydrated and starving.